So I've seen tidbits. I generally like to see all of the patch notes in their entirety to see kind of like the gist of everything and like where their thought process is with a lot of the changes, because I know sometimes they like to put those in. At the end of the day, you can only judge a patch so much. There could be some good changes, some bad changes. You'll never really know until you actually try it out yourself. Dota 2 has taught me that. Obviously, the Rev rework, I saw a video on that. We'll talk about that. All right, so I guess we're starting out right away with Revenant. First and foremost, I am glad they are changing him. I actually really like Rev. I like his, the idea of Rev. I've always wanted to kind of like, I wanted Rev to work somehow without the stigma of him being, you know, Rev. Partly because I think he has one of the sickest heirlooms and it's fun to use, but he just doesn't feel good at it as it is, so I'm really happy. I'm just happy to see them reworking an older character, because I feel like they don't generally have the bandwidth to do that as much in between making new content every fucking 90 days. Like that's a tall order. So it's nice to see. Hopefully we see some other reworks too. No, obviously Lifeline is like #1 up there for fucking in line for a rework. I already saw the video on it. No, we don't need to go too in depth about it. But generally, my general thoughts on it, I'm sure you've all seen it and gotten everyone else's opinions. I think he's going to be really fun for ranked and for pubs. I don't see him being useful at all competitively. He just doesn't bring any utility to the team outside of just hard fragging. There might be like a team or two that tries to pull like a Firebeaters, like Aurora type style of trying to use him to like just get in and kill on their entry fragger. When you put a character in or rework a character and you want to think about them in competitive, they just have to bring a lot to the table. There's only 3 slots in a fucking Apex team. So every single character needs to bring a lot to the table, both offensively and defensively, if you want to make it work. Especially in this meta now, where fighting is a lot more common than it used to be. I love that they kept his passive. The wall climb, I think, is one of the most fun things about Revenant. It's really fun to like kind of fuck with people on like buildings that they don't expect you to climb on. The Q, I see a lot of people talk about the Q being like, what the hell, this is just like Vantage. I disagree. Vantage has much more utility with her Q in terms of what she can do with it. This is very one-track minded. It's just you pounce forward. Obviously, most people use Vantage to just pounce forward with her Q. You know, if you hold the Q without the bat being out, you can just do the fast jump. But you can do a lot more with Vantage's Q. It's more for scouting. It's not as much for just hard fragging. Like, this character is built to just be a hard fragger. So I don't agree. Like, they're a similar concept, but I don't agree that they're like the same thing at all. I would use Rev Q way differently than I use Vantage Q. Which, you know, I like to use Vantage Q. It's a fun ability. The ultimate is interesting as well. They're testing, I guess, siphon mechanics as well, because I don't know about testing it for like the game, but you know, they're just throwing it in for his ult, which I think is really cool. Basically, like, you're gonna hate controller players tomorrow, the ones that run them. You'll probably see a lot of like high-level controller players playing Rev tomorrow. Probably like Sykes. I would not be surprised to see him on it. I saw a leak for this, and I was hoping it was fucking false. This might be the world's worst ranked map rotation in any video game of all time. Broken Moon, Kings Canyon, and Olympus. Like, I get it. I'm sure, I understand eventually we have to get out of World's Edge and Storm Point, right? It's a little too much of the same. I get it. But man, putting all 3 of those in is going to be fucking rough. I actually don't mind Kings Canyon as much anymore, because ranked is now just a run it down fest, and Kings Canyon is a great map for that, to be honest. But if this ranked system is any bit actually competitive, then I'm not going to like KC at all, but we'll see. Again, I don't know yet. I didn't see the rank changes. I did see the ring updates that were, I think, Crawl Rindo leaked him. I believe I actually quote tweeted it. But basically, if you haven't seen them, ring behavior across maps in the BR has been updated with targeted tunings, including ring size, damage, and timings to several game phases to improve pacing in early and mid game. I'll go over them real quick before I actually give you my thoughts on it if you didn't see when I tweeted about it. Overall, though, ring 1 is getting much bigger. It's increasing in 10% radius per map, resulting in a approximately 20% larger ring 1 surface area. And there's screenshots out there you can find. Only that ring has changed. None of the other sizes have changed, which I think is a good change. For sure. I don't like the ring damage change. Ring 2 damage increased from 3 per tick to 4 per tick, meaning you cannot medkit if you get knocked in ring 2 anymore. Ring 4 damage reduced from 20 per tick to 15 per tick, which I'm not opposed to. I kind of like that. I did think it used to just like... I'm a huge proponent in general of just, if a BR says, hey, this is the next safe zone, that's where you need to play. I'm not a fan of like zone gaming, you know, running around and crafting in zone, all that. I don't like that. But anyways, I'll touch on it all once I go over the complete changes. Before I start with my criticism on this, I agree with this problem. Timings to several game phases to improve pacing in early and mid game. This game has been out for a while now. I think there really is no early and mid game anymore. It's the drop and then end game. If you look at fucking ranked, if you look at pubs, it's just true across the board. The competitive obviously is not the case at all, but I'll leave those thoughts for later. I do believe, I've always felt that the pacing in the game in the past year or two has been really bad. If you've played any pubs, like I hate World's Edge as a map because everybody lands in one POI. And then if you survive, if you're one of the teams that survives landing frag, you're spending the next 10 minutes just looking for the last 3 teams, basically. It's really fucking boring. Ranked has kind of become that too. So I do agree that there is a problem with pacing in early to mid game. I don't think this is a good way to change it. I like the ring 1 is bigger, but ultimately that doesn't really matter because they did source. I saw somewhere on Twitter, in fact, I think I also retweeted this one. They sourced saying they didn't like how many people were playing in zone for ranked and ALGS, which is like in ranked 100%, because they specifically said people were doing that to avoid fighting, which in ranked 100% people do that. And I agree, that's a fucking problem. Nobody does that in ALGS, and if they do, then they're not good. Nobody crafts in ALGS because they want to avoid fighting. It doesn't matter. By zone 3, there's still going to be 18, 19 teams up, right? Like it's going to be sweaty as fuck and people are going to try their asses off. I hate that they're conflating the two because they're completely different reasonings. And I hate that it's kind of bleeding over into ALGS. I have talked to some devs and I think they said they'll keep their eye on it because normally I wouldn't be so afraid of this change, but this is a massive fucking change to make right before champs. I mean, we're playing champs in 1 month, literally. It's the 7th right now. In 1 month, we'll already be on stage. Now, who knows if it's like a nightmare in comp, maybe they revert it and we play on a different patch, but I doubt it because we don't even use the LGS client anymore. We play live. All right, so ranked update. LP table is adjusted. LP gain overall has been reduced. Okay, good. Diamond plus cost adjustments are 50% increased losses. Step in the right direction. So it's minus 50. They're only showing diamond plus. What about, is it minus 30 or 35 for everyone else? Let's keep reading. Minus 50 for everyone else. And I still don't like that though. I don't know. We'll see how the scores work, but here new small portion of elimination bonus is exempted from bonus withholding due to mismatched MMR and LP. This value increases based on the player's MMR. Skill rating and bonuses have been dramatically reduced. I don't even know, did this even matter? Like actually, there's a lot of people I've seen in Masters that I don't think have ever shot their gun like throughout their entire playtime, like not just this season, and they're in Masters. Anyways, we're bumping up the elimination bonus slightly. In our attempt to reduce the Master spike, we identified the need to instead reduce the overall points given within the whole system. Instead of bumping as planned, we took a different approach and reduced placement scores to make eliminations more valuable when compared to the new lowered placement score. Placement wasn't the problem. Like if placement ended up becoming the name of the game. So if you got 10th in this current season, you needed 10th to become to break even. So it looks like it's actually the same here. So it actually doesn't look like it's changed too much. It's just they lowered points across the board. I'm curious then what like a max win, like a win with like 10 kills around your skill level would be then. I don't know. We'll have to see. This is ranked systems are always going to be, you just have to see. You can't judge it too harshly until you actually try it. Armor changes. White to blue required increased to 200 was 150. Crafted Evo points increased to 200. Okay. I kind of like that. Fixed overflow damage on level up applies to the next tier. I actually kind of like that. I do think Evo is a little easy to acquire. I'm glad they did this though. I would not have liked the change if they didn't do this. Rampage and R9 leave the crafter and are back on the floor. Controller players rejoice. Nemesis and Mozambique with hammer points enter the crafter. Nemesis, huh? Honestly, good comps. Good comps on that one. Double tap trigger and hammer points removed from rotation. I'm sad. I am probably the only person in the world that enjoys double tap, sadly. I think it's fucking great. I think hammer points have always been good, but people like just never use them for some reason. Boosted loader and disruptor rounds added to rotation. I'm a fan of boosted loader. I think that's one of the better attachments they put in. Disruptors, yikes. Medkit price increase to 20 was 15. That's a good change. I do like that. Dude, that's what I'm saying. Bring back Anvil Receiver. That is actually probably the best attachment they've ever made. And every time they bring it back, it lasts one fucking season. Turbocharger's been in the game since, I don't think Turbocharger's ever been removed. Granted, some guns kind of need it, but like, dude, Anvil's so good. I love Anvils. It's one of my absolute favorite attachments. Hemlock Burst AR returns to the floor. ADS recoil increase, damage reduced to 22. To 22. I don't remember what it was before. I think it was like 16 or 17. Headshot multiplier reduced to 1.75 was 1.8. Wow. This thing is going to be fucking strong. Holy shit. Prowler Burst PDW enters the care package. And I did see that it's coming back with full auto. Rambo out there is doing the fucking worm. Can't wait for him to call every single Prowler tomorrow when we play. I kind of like Prowler on the... I don't know if that's a hot take. I enjoy it. I think it's much harder to use than any of the other SMGs. So it's like when it fucking hits, like, oh my... Like, it fucking hits. Gold weapon rotation is Hemlock PK, Alternator, Rampage, Charge Rifle. Loot spawn changes, blue and purple weapon attachment spawn rates. I did see this one on Twitter. I would have loved a little dev note on this one. Blue and purple weapon attachment spawn rate reduced by 20. Blue and purple armor spawn rate reduced by 30. Like, every time I see these kinds of changes, I think to myself, like, who is this for? The only thing I can think of in this case is this is for the people that... This is for casuals, but like not even like the casuals, like anybody, even anyone in this Twitch chat right now. These are like, this is, I would imagine, this is for like the casuals that don't play the game more than like once a week was my guess. Because the only thing I can think of is it's so people don't just, players who are above average aren't just absolutely shitting on everyone because one, they're getting the blue and purples like faster, or like they find good attachments, they can just like roll over people. So they're slowing the game down overall. It's just weird because they're slowing the game down loot wise, but they're speeding it up pacing wise. So I'm kind of just like, huh? It seems counterintuitive. I mean, again, that's why I would love to dev note, because I would love to see why is this, like, what is the reasoning behind it. Maybe their reasoning makes sense. As the game stands, for what we know, like, I just don't like really know. This one isn't for the people that play the game regularly, and I don't even mean people that play it for a living. I mean people that play it for fun. Charge rifle rework. New ballistics and projectile. Remove the hit scan. I did see the video. They removed the pre-fire laser. Projectiles have player pass through. 80% damage retained. I mean, that makes sense. That's in line with every other sniper. At first I read that, I was like, wait, that's crazy. But no, that makes sense. Opens doors is interesting. Not opposed to it, honestly, but it's not. I don't think it's going to really matter that much. Projectiles gain damage with distance. 50 meters, 75 damage, 300 meters, 110. Interesting. So the longer your bullet travels, more damage it does. That's interesting. I mean, I like this. I think, you know, I don't think anyone really was a fan of the charge rifle since its fucking inception. Because, you know, I applaud how bold they were with putting a hit scan sniper in a battle royale. And I am surprised it lasted as long as it did. And I'm honestly surprised to see that they're even changing it. So I like this. I'm eager to try this. 300 meters for 110 damage. I'm assuming that's to the body. If you're gonna be doing, like, this seems one of those, off the top of my head, it seems like one of those guns where you're gonna be pushing a fight, right? And then some fucker is gonna be in Narnia charge rifle, like they already are. The only difference now is they're gonna miss most of their shots, but that one singular 110 damage shot or headshot that they hit, which is probably much more than that, is just going to ruin you and your fight. All SMGs, R99 car, alternator car, and Volt. Strafe speed ADS, strafe scale reduced to 0.7. I fucking love this change. Oh my god. I saw a lot of people angry about this one. I personally love it. Like, dude, how are people not bored of picking up SMGs every fucking game? I don't know. Like, I'm just so over SMGs. Like, they're fun to use. Don't get me wrong. Like, one-clipping someone with an R9, even on MK, is, like, super fun, right? But it's just, like, they are so... Like, I get it. That even though I'm over the SMG meta, it is still fun. People need... Like, how do people not realize that SMGs do way too much? Even on... I don't know how most players on controller play with SMGs at mid-range, but a good controller player, a good MK player, they can use all of these guns at range. R9 vertical recoil slightly increased, not a big problem. Ammo capacity reduced, which is actually fucking huge. So that's interesting to me. I mean, so they're keeping the strong power of it, but 2 bullets is actually a huge deal on base ammo. It reduces 17, 20, 23, and 26. That is actually a pretty fucking big deal, because already the R9 is a gun where it's very strong. If you don't one clip, that is, you are likely to just get shit on if someone is using a different gun. This is definitely going to make people get shit on a lot more. This, like, these 2 changes alone, I think, are going to be massive. And I personally like both of them. Like, the R9 is as fun as any other gun. Like, I get it. But if you have to actually stop and think objectively, this is, like, this shit was not healthy for the game. SMGs are too good. I don't really think that any of the other SMGs really needed tuned at all. I think they feel pretty good. So, I think this is all, for the most part, pretty good. The headshot multiplier reduced as well, but everyone aims for the body anyway. Spitfire added barrels for improved stability. That's interesting. I do remember they took that, used to be a thing. ADS recoil improved. Does that mean, like, it's easier to handle? Yeah, I would imagine so. I don't like the way they word their passionate sometimes. Hipfire spread slightly improved. I don't like that at all. That I actually don't like. But wow, Spitfire might be potentially usable. Massive blast pattern tightened. That's interesting to me because, and this is probably going to be a hot take, I actually used shotguns a pretty decent bit this last season because I got bored of SMGs, and Massive actually felt pretty damn good to me. This might be, I know for a long time it felt like shit, but I feel like Massive was not bad. It felt more reliable than most of the other shotguns for me. And yes, I did obviously see, obviously boost loaders back, Hemlock Wingman. I did see this, yes. I'm very curious how the math works out on this. I'm sure Reddit's already done this. The disruptors are on Alternator and the Peacekeeper. All I want to know is, does this make the Peacekeeper 2 pumpable? You can now 1 pump white armor. Okay, that's kind of funny, I can't lie. We're about to start complaining about 4-3 linear PK users. If you thought R9 was bad. Double tap removed from floor and crafting bundles. That's an L. Not an actual L. That's just a personal an L for me because I love double tap scout. Even on the Eva, I liked it a lot too, but that's just me. Frag grenade. Outer radius increased to 350 units was 320. Inner radius increased to 125 units was 96. That is a really interesting change. This is a great change. Thermite adjusted fire VFX to better match the damage area. That shit has not been accurate since ever. There's not a time Thermites have ever been accurate in this game, so that's a cool change. But the frag grenade changes, that's interesting. I never really felt like frags were weak. Personally, Revenant has been reborn. Yeah, we saw that. We talked about it. I didn't see that they updated him to Skirmisher. Was Assault? I hope they changed Skirmisher. Okay, they didn't. That's actually a pretty decent nerf. Ultimate cooldowns. This is the fun part. Bangalore. Rolling Thunder to 240 seconds. Added an extra minute on top. That is wild. Can it be true that the widely thought Bangalore, the most balanced character in the game, got a nerf when everybody was wanting a buff for her? Now she got a nerf? Honestly, she kind of needed a little bit. I'm surprised they hit the ult though. Catalyst Dark Veil to 150 seconds plus 30. That is needed, I think. I wish there was more continuity with ults in this game. Some ults, when you throw them, instantly start recharging and cooling down even while the ult effect is still going off. Meanwhile, other ults, you have to wait for the entire effect to go off before the ult starts cooling down. For example, Seer ult. Not saying Seer needs a buff by any means, but if you throw a Seer ult, the entirety of that duration of a Seer ult needs to play out before the cooldown actually starts to change. Meanwhile, the reason I think this is good for Catalyst is because Catalyst wasn't like that. If you threw the Catalyst wall up, I don't remember how long it lasts for, like 30, 40 seconds, something like that. It stays there the whole time that wall is up. Her cooldown is already changing, or already charging back up. As soon as the wall extends all the way, the cooldown already starts cooling down. So I think this change was necessary. I think it was like, what, 35% was when the ult went down. Jibby, defensive bombardment, down to, I did see this one on Twitter, down 90 seconds. That's massive. This ult is fucking insane. And that's scary, because I remember when it was Jibby meta that this ult got nerfed into like the insane time it is now. It is a really fucking long time right now. I will say it's maybe a little overboard. A minute and a half seems, that's scary. That's all I'm going to say. It very well with PK, Disruptors, SMGs getting a nerf on their strafe speed. Like, we very well could see a Jibby meta. A lot of it's going to rest on Seer, for me personally. Does Seer, how hard, or if Seer got nerfed at all. Horizon Black Hole to 210 seconds. Honestly, you should just change Black Hole to the character is just deleted from the game, but I guess we'll go with that too. Loba Black Market Boutique to 150 plus 30. I did think, I'm a Loba enjoyer, but I did think that their ult was a little too fast. This is a surprise. Maggie Wrecking Ball up 30 seconds. Didn't expect that. I didn't see anyone in the world complain about Maggie, so maybe they have some numbers on that. I liked that Wrecking Ball was a low cooldown, not even for the what the ball did, just for the speed boost, to be honest, but that's just me. Maybe it's like a foresight and thought, PK Disruptors, Jibby back in the meta, let's hit the Maggie nerf now before we do it in the future. And in that case, hats off, Larson, you did well. You didn't really, like, my boy got like one solid season in the spotlight and we're doing this. If he still has like the care package thing, then this is really negligible. It is I mean, 60 seconds is a big one for the zipline if you're like holding a spot, because sometimes you're on a part of the map where you can't see the care packages. If that care package instantly refreshing your ult is still there, it's negligible, but it definitely doesn't feel good. Don't like this change, but I also just have been a huge Pathfinder fan. He's just a lot of fun to play. Wraith Dimensional Rift down 30 seconds. No one cares. Character's horrible. Anyways, tactical updates. Ballistics Whistler. Reduced delay before an overheated weapon starts cooling down to 1 second was 2 seconds. Reduced how long it takes an overheated weapon to cool down to 8 seconds. Am I stupid, or is this just a nerf? Reduced delay before an overheated weapon starts cooling down to 1 second. Really? I thought he was kind of weak, to be honest. I mean, his Whistler is, I think, actually a pretty underrated ability, but I'm surprised he's getting hit with any nerfs, just because I don't think he's very strong. That's why it's like mind-fucking me, because in my eyes, I thought he would get a buff. But, oh, interesting. Although I do think his tactical is really annoying to get hit by, so maybe they saw a statistic on people getting hit by Ballistics Whistler, dying, and then rage quitting the game before they even got the squad eliminated screen. Loba's Burglar's Best Friend, cooldown reduced to 25 seconds was 30. Surprised, honestly. Thought that ability was kind of crazy, but again, I'm a Loba fan. Seer's Focus of Attention, slow duration reduced to 0.5 seconds was 2.5. That is massive, holy shit. Silence also reduced to 8 seconds was 10. Firing speed increased to 1.4 was 0.9. So it's going to be harder to hit. When it does hit, it's not going to be as good. I mean, definitely, you know, I don't think you need my fucking analysis on this. Definitely needed to happen. Something needed to happen to Seer. The silence is also realistic. Like, the Horizon Seer combo, at least competitively at a very high level, is fucking annoying. I like that, I don't know if this is like the intent or the purpose, but I like when these like wombo combos get hit personally. I am a mobile player, and I'm all about abilities being fucking used in tandem and combos and stuff like that. But there are some that I think are just flat out egregious, because at the end of the day, I don't think anybody in this game, casual, a dad coming home from a 9 to 5, like that level casual playing once a week, to pro, I don't think anyone in that spectrum, and by that I mean everyone, likes dying to just abilities. So dying to abilities is just not fun, and I'm never really a fan for that, when you can have such crazy wombo combos to that degree. Alright, I think that's like pretty much the beef of it, but let's see the maps. Broken Moon, maps added to Mixtape, Production Yard, and the Core. Interesting. Multiple rat spots removed. Kings Canyon, multiple... I wish, I mean, I know, like, that would take so much time, but I do wish they could expand on this, at least for, like, ALGS sake. Because you know, like, we all know very good rat spots, and it really fucking sucks. And like I said, this would be a lot of work for them to, like, add in, like, screenshots of every single one, probably, like, I know they already work a lot prior to what, or contrary to what most people would probably think. But it really sucks when you're in ALGS or a tournament, especially because we have champs in literally a month, and you have the first time you actually see a rat spot that you can use gets removed. Because, like, it's not like you can go in a custom and think of every fucking little rat spot you know, and you go around testing them, right? Like, that is just too much of a time sink. You could do that, I guess, but like no one's really gonna do that. Removed exclusion radius that caused some POIs to get these objects more than others. All POIs now have an equal chance of receiving a ring console, survey beacon, or crafting workbench. The reason I saw this was because I saw multiple Hal posts/replies where Hal said, "This change is horrible." To which I thought, that is the most lava siphon take of all time. Congrats on your very good POI. You worked for it, you did, and you still continue to work for it, but man, I'm sorry. Rip Bozo. Control, capture bonus bounty, capture time reduced, score limit reduced. Don't really care about control changes. I'm going to play it no matter what it is. I guess we can read through some of the legend ones. Fixed animations, not playing audio in rare cases. Not even going to touch that one. Improved prioritization for certain enemy movement sounds. That's bold of them to put in. Honestly, Larson, I don't know who does your patch notes. Very bold of them to put this in patch notes. That's all I'm going to say. As soon as you put something like this, you are just giving your community fuel. You're giving them the ammunition to shoot you as soon as it goes false, or as soon as something goes wrong. But I mean, obviously, would love to see this type of stuff, but very bold to put in the patch notes. Maps, Broken Moon, adding Building West to the core of the minimap. That's good. Oh, just a minimap. I mean, even this is a nice change. I really despise when the minimap doesn't match the actual terrain, so that's really nice. All right, I mean, overall, like, it's kind of what I say about every patch notes, and if you've been here for all my other patch notes review, you'll have heard me say this a million times. Some good, some bad. Some things I really dislike, like the stuff we talked about earlier. I'm hoping to God that, like, I can't harp on rank too much because we just need to see it play out, but I do, just from the get-go, from like just surface level armchair dev talk, I think it's just gonna, I feel like it's just gonna push all the people that were in Masters down to Diamond, or maybe Plat if they're too lazy to go there. I don't like the ring. I think I've been very vocal about that. Outside of, like, I'm glad they're at least trying in ranked. Outside of the ring update, I think it's actually a really good patch. There's a lot of good stuff in here. A lot of stuff I really like.